in Canada are you?
I'm in Nova Scotia now.
Oh, nice, nice. So in have you experienced racism in Canada?
Because of my experience in South Africa, I'm now, when you experience something, whether directly or indirectly, you become immune to it. So it's not as if I don't know it exists actually, because I see a lot of people talk about structural racism. In South Africa, it's actually in their policies. I have experienced it firsthand. I was denied as an admission that has been given to me was revoked.
Wow.
I had an admission to go to South Africa to study in one of the universities, and I got admission in 2020, came to South Africa in 2021 after about 2 visa deniers. When I came to South Africa in 2021, I started talking with my supervisor and getting to know how to go into school and just catch up with my mates and all, just for me to register the next semester. For no reason, like no reason. I can't even say this is the reason. I just know it's xenophobia. Now, what people don't understand is people think in South Africa is the whites against the blacks. No, in South Africa, it's actually the black against the blacks, like the indigenous South Africans against the black Africans, like against their own migrant Africans. Do you understand? So they even tend to value the whites, the Indians more than you that is a black. Maybe you're
So
from Nigeria.
that's interesting to me. I mean, it's interesting to me. It's not news to me. It's just interesting to me that you got an admission and the admission was revoked.
And you know the funny thing, the same man, he's a professor. The same professor who signed my admission was the same person who revoked my admission. So you would see that when you want to use a general term, it's called racism. But the xenophobia is embedded into their systems, even to the level that you may be a permanent resident in Canada, you get regarded to some extent. But permanent residents in South Africa is like, you just like, let me say, the privilege you get to enjoy is that you don't pay for visa fees. Do you understand? So that, like, my husband is a permanent resident, for instance. There are jobs that he should literally get within a short, just in a jiffy, just by training his application. South Africa would prefer to give that job to a student that just graduated from school, rather than giving it to you, who is maybe a black immigrant African, who is also a permanent resident, who has his PhD. Wow. So you can imagine to the extent it has eaten deep into their system, and is making the whole system so hostile for immigrants. So that's why when someone comes to me and says, hey, you see, I want to migrate to South Africa, I'll say, please don't come. Just the money you want to use to migrate to this place, just channel your energy to some other country. Don't come here. Because
that's heartbreaking, though.
The people that they're actually chasing are actually the people who have the stuff to build the economy. So people that are actually living in South Africa are not the people who are staying there legally. Even are not the people who are staying there illegally. It's the people who are there to build the country, like the scholars, the medical doctors, the people that are there legally, even to the level of being permanent residents. So it wasn't easy. South Africa blessed us as a family, but it got to a point where we said no. It's as if everywhere we go to, we've met our peak, so we needed to move.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad that you're in Canada now. I mean, not to say that there's no racism in Canada or discrimination in Canada. There's structural.
I know there's structural discrimination, but for someone like me who has experienced what it feels like to be denied an opportunity because of where you come from, it's even so skin deep that as in it gets so bad, especially when they hear that you're Nigerian. Like, I don't know, a lot of people love and hate Nigerians at the same time. Like, you
Yeah,
can't
it's like a love and hate relationship.
say it. So
Yeah.
the thing there is that I'm really glad I'm in Canada. I know that racism exists in Canada, but I'm immune to it. Like, it's when I'm raising my child now, there's a way I've already told myself this is the way I'm going to raise my kids here because of what we know exists here. Nobody should tell you that you are less of whom you are because that's
Huh?
yeah. So it
Correct.
actually exists. Even when we came to Canada, one of the first things people say to us is getting housing here is going to be very, very challenging. Not just because the housing system now has a little, as in the housing system is, what would I call it? Because Nova Scotia experienced this hike in immigration, so they are trying to put together one or two things to make sure the housing system meets the demand. So aside that, you being a black, it's going to make them cringe a little when it comes to giving you a house.
Giving you a house or you buying a house?
Not buying, I mean renting the house.
Renting a house based on your skin color?
Oh my
That's
God.
interesting. I've never experienced share. This is the reason why we're having this conversation.
So
How long have you been in Canada?
I'm just in Canada for 3 months, but you would probably
Oh, you're so new.
think I'm fresh in Canada, but because we were informed and you get to get more information about where you're going to, so you know how to prepare yourself mentally, financially, psychologically, just to be ready for anything that comes your way. So we had already experienced it in
Wow,
some.
I didn't think that there was something like that where there's discrimination against your skin. If you have all the like you have. Wait, now that you're saying it, is this what affected me when I came? I don't want to believe that. I don't want to believe that it was my skin color. No. Like if you have the money to buy the house, you have all your documents, you have a job that can show that you have, and then you get a mortgage. Like I don't understand.
For us, we came in here. We didn't come as permanent residents. My husband is a student. You get, so we came in here with the student visa, and I'm on open work permit. So maybe the story may be different for someone who came in as a permanent resident. Like I said, in Canada, permanent residents have access to certain opportunities that other temporary residents don't. So maybe the story is different, but it is for this aspect of maybe your rent and all that, you being able to rent a house. Actually, I think I experienced it some way because
Sure. Let's hear.
before, not like it came direct. You know, Canadians, especially Nova Scotians, they are very nice people. But you can't say this is what they mean, but you actually know this is what it is.
I got you.
Not like they'll come direct to tell you, but you just know it that this is what it is exactly. So, so we are fine. We have all I'll just tell anyone who is planning to relocate to Canada, to any place that is not home, especially if you're Nigerian, is if you've been having thick skin, like add up. Because it's not like it's not a walk in the park. Yeah, so
but it's pretty heartbreaking, right? It's pretty heartbreaking if you have come, like when you're coming to a new country, you're coming excited. A lot of people are living in Nigeria, they're so excited. I want to come to America, I want to go to Canada, I want to go to the UK. They're very excited. You're coming with, hope for your future, hope for the future of your kids. You're coming with such excitement. And then you're coming to say, I'm going to put in the work regardless, right? And then you find yourself putting in the work, but you're experiencing this subtle passive aggression at your workplace or passive subtle, and then you begin to see people telling you things like, oh, your accent. You begin to see people throwing jabs at your English.
Okay, let me give you an instance, because in as much as I've been here for a little time, just for 3 months, I've had my first work experience. So I came here and I actually, one of the, in my place of work, because I was I was a customer rep professional. So just by hearing my accent, it has happened not once, not twice. The customer on the other end cuts the call. Like, just like,
I'm so
like,
sorry.
and
But
it's
I've
not
heard this a lot.
it's not a white thing. And sometimes you answer the call, or you answer this call with so much enthusiasm, trying to find help for your customer, and at the end of explaining everything in the best way you know how you should explain it, what they tell you is, "I'm sorry, I don't understand you a bit. Can I talk to someone who I can understand?" Like, and it's
That is heartbreaking. I've heard people say, like, especially customer service representatives who say, "Oh, can you please give the phone to someone who speaks English?"
thank you.
Like you have been speaking Yoruba or Igbo all the while. You've been speaking English, and they say that. And I know that Nigerians try. I'm not talking about some people, but a lot of Nigerians try to either speak slowly or try to, just so that you can hear them.
Just to tune their accent in a way that they can understand. But
Exactly. But people are just, closed-minded, want to just hear something that is different from what they're naturally used to. And I ask people, I say, do you think it's easy for me to hear your accent? Like, why do people go about thinking that it's easy for me
that's
to
the
also
funny
understand?
thing. That's the funny thing. They don't know it's even harder for us to hear them, because we even speak in a way that our accent is actually nice. We speak in that you don't usually hear people tell you, maybe I can't understand you. It's usually very rare, because our accent is really nice and we are accommodating. So we actually try to put the other person in mind when we are talking. But for them to just speak to you, and sometimes you're like, what did this person just say? Like, did you understand it? So
I mean, it's because I've stayed abroad for quite a while, like in the US, in Canada. So I think cumulatively for 7 years. So it's easier now than when I first came. When I first came, because I came as a student in America, you struggle a bit when you're trying to understand your white professor trying, speaking. And I wonder when people say, "Oh, you have an accent," I look at them, I'm like, "You have an accent too. Like, I can hear you too." I'm struggling to hear you too. Like, what do you think? You think that you will have the best accent in the world and I can hear you clearly? No. It took time, hearing you over and over again for me to understand what you're saying. And that tolerance is what a lot of people don't have, right? A lot of white folks don't have.
another thing that I think they don't have is they are quite ignorant about we and our history as Africans. It's more
Correct.
or less what they see on social media and what
Mhm.
the media portrays. That's literally what most of them know. Some of them don't even know. They don't even know beyond their province or beyond their state or
Oh,
beyond that
correct.
particular area they stay. So sometimes I I give excuse for them on their behalf. I'll be like, well, I won't. In my heart, I'll be like, I won't blame you if how would you will not, as in I won't blame you, because if your country was like my country, you won't have business, as in we won't have any business coming to you. You understand? So I
Correct.
wouldn't blame them at all. So I think this thing called racism, I think it also comes from a place of ignorance for them in their part. So that's why I usually encourage any of our Nigerian folks that come abroad and want to travel outside of Nigeria, that when you're coming, be psychologically ready. It's not just about the money. You have to be psychologically ready and be ready to prove yourself, especially if you're Nigerian. If amongst Africans in a particular job set or something, so far they know you're Nigerian. Hearing that word Nigerian, you have to prove yourself ×3 to show that you actually are more than what they think you are. You understand? So that's basically it.
And that's true, but that's also like really heartbreaking for us. I keep using the word heartbreaking, but it is what it is. We have to keep proving ourselves. Like, why? Like, I have the qualifications, I have the experience. Why do I have to do twice as much as my fellow white colleague? And that's what I hope that. I mean, we are going through it. I hope that our kids sometime in the future don't have to go through it. And of course, it's ignorance. A lot of them have not left their country. I remember when I don't remember the course or the program when I was doing studying in the US. And this particular course, the professor on his slide was talking about different countries. And on his slide, sorry, different continents. And on the slide, the representation of Africa was like a thatched roof house. This was in this was in 2017 or 2016. Just imagine if in 2016 and 2017 the representation of Africa is a thatched roof like a mud kind of house. Well, this is what the media is portraying. This is what a professor. This is for like a professor in a university is showing Africa as. So yeah, a lot of them are pretty ignorant. A lot of them have not left their country. Americans, a lot of Americans have never left America. If they have never even gone anywhere close to Africa. Some of them, like we know, they think Africa is a country. So yes, it's ignorance, yes, but again, I think it's also lack of tolerance, right? I haven't been to certain places in this world, but I will tolerate some of these people that are from these places. I haven't been to India, but I have like a very close friend who is Indian. I've been to a part of Asia, yes, but we all in this world we all should learn how to be tolerating of people who are, not they don't share the same race as us, who do not share the same culture as us. But yes, it's good that we talk about it. It's also good that as Nigerians, you can't really be prepared for it, to be honest. I know that you said that.
But another thing I would like to say before I finally leave, because I need to get to something now, is that
Sure.
when you experience racism, be responsive than reactive.
Okay.
Like,
so how do you mean?
Like, I don't know how to put it. Like, okay, let me take because I used to be around my husband sometimes when he takes his courses online, and I see some discussions they have. And what he does sometimes when they say those things, he keeps quiet. Like, he doesn't like react in a way or maybe make a face or show that maybe it hurts him that his country is being spoken of or his continent is being spoken of in such a manner. What he does is maybe after the class or maybe in between the class, maybe when it's time for him to say something, he then chips in what was said about his continent and then uses that medium to educate them about their perspective, that this is not how it is. This is exactly how it is. You understand? So how you think about it is not the story. So the moment we take it as a responsibility as Africans to tell our own stories ourselves, the way we know it actually is, I think we will go a long way. So that's what I mean by when we experience these things, especially when it comes at us, like in ways that, like my husband was sharing something with me. He said something about his classmates who some Canadian girls called the classmate Chink. She's a Chinese. And she reacted like they almost got into a big fight. She even had a scar on her body. My husband was telling the lady that if you had responded to that name calling than react, as in if you had responded to them and not react, they would have just laughed over it and went away. And the lady was like, how? My husband said, next time when they call you that, just give them a thumbs up or smile at them and move on. And they'll feel stupid for calling you that. You understand? Yeah, they'll know that it didn't touch you, like it didn't. It's just what do they call it? It wasn't. It's just surface level. It didn't get to you. Like you didn't. You
Yeah,
understand what I mean?
yeah, I get
So
that thing about making like making a joke of yourself anyways, and then nobody can is able to make that same joke because you're already
yeah,
making a joke of yourself, you know. I understand that, but again, we all like we said, we all have different skills and different level of tolerance, right? And
that's
yeah,
true.
we should try as but it's good that we're talking about it, but you made a very valid point. There is try to use it as a medium to educate people. This is Africa. This is what I know about Africa. This is and
Yeah.
rather than being angry or upset, and you just react, without actually educating people. But yeah, that's a very good point. Thank you so much. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank
Someone
you.
said it doesn't penetrate. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. You're welcome.
All right. Have a good one.
Okay.
Melanie Sucre, what doesn't penetrate? Oh, when you make a joke. Oh, okay, you're trying to leave. When you when you laugh about it, it doesn't penetrate sometimes. Yeah, sometimes they don't get the message, perhaps. Sometimes you have to be pretty direct. I know for sure sometimes you have to be pretty direct when you're responding to them. There was a situation at my workplace where I had to be pretty direct. I had to say, I do not appreciate you referring to me in that manner. I do not appreciate you doing this. Sometimes you have to be pretty direct, especially when the person has been consistent. If they're consistently throwing jabs at you, consistently said certain things that you notice this once, notice this the second time, I think a third time,